Hey, what's good, ladies and gentlemen? Ackland here, of course. Welcome back to each and every one of you to Barrens Chat number 19. And the only reason I know it's number 19 is because it's right there on the screen. Otherwise, I would absolutely not have remembered this if any of the other podcasts that I'm involved in is anything to go by. How are you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, what do we have to talk about? What on earth could we possibly be talking about tonight, considering, WoW has been pretty dead. Nothing really happening. Nothing great is happening. No, of course, we have the War Within. We couldn't do it last week because last week we were playing video games, obviously. So, now we're here, and I think it's time we pick back up where we left off. Don't you? Michael, how you doing? Gokart, how you doing? Miracos, Bleach for Fun, Moni, Marco, The Grey, Epicthulu, Melissa, Kiki, thank you so much for joining the Beard Club. Really appreciate you. And of course, Death Sounds Lovely. Thank you so much for joining the Beard Club. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Epicthulu, Frozen Solid, CCS, Peter, how you doing? Nick, how you doing, bro? I hope you guys are doing very, very well. Kiki, how's the holiday? You having fun? Good morning, Echoes. So glad to catch you live. Zoe, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Very happy to have you here as well. Time to get the show started. Epicthulu, don't tell me what to do. I will start the show when I feel good and ready for it. You will not come in here and just do whatever the fuck you want, all right? Epicthulu, how you doing, bro? Melissa, Molly, how you doing? Mueller Gaming, how you doing, bro? Hello there, Stinky Lover. Dude, why am I... What? What did I do? I didn't do shit. Why is chat immediately attacking me? I'm just here trying to have a good time, and now suddenly I'm being attacked by chat. What's going on, boys? Calm down. Calm down, all of you. Whatever you do not start the show. All right, cool, bro. I mean, The Grey, I always listen to you, man. Miner's good in mine. I'm doing good. It's a great day so far. I stink, therefore I am. True. The first day was an absolute blast. Been playing for 8 hours already today. Hey, I'm not going to lie to you. The War Within is fun. The War Within is fun. Can I quickly, by a show of hands, how many of you have been having a ton of fun in the War Within? Let's see them hands. How many of you are really enjoying it? All right, there's 2 at least. That's good. 3. All right, that's good. Metal, how you doing? 4, 5. Matt, 6. All right, good stuff. Sean, all right. So I think it's safe to say we're all enjoying the War Within, at least for now. Please remember to hit the like button if you have not already. That really does help out. YouTube's algorithm likes like buttons. I don't know why, but it does do it. It gets a semi-hard on for it. Hands up, came back after leaving in BFA. Cables, welcome back, sir. Well, I would say you kind of missed something decent in Dragonflight, but yeah, if you left in BFA, Dragonflight wouldn't have pulled you back. But I mean, let's start with the first topic, something that I've been discussing so much on Twitch, but I do want to discuss it here as well because I think it is important. It's something that people are skirting around the edges. You see a lot of conversations about this on Twitter and just pretty much everywhere. People really talking about this. Is the War Within... Actually, let's put it this way. Holy shit. Death Sounds Lovely with 10 community subs. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get some hearts in chat? 10 of you assholes, because you are assholes, are now part of the Beard Club. I really appreciate that. Death Sounds Lovely. Thank you, sir. You are far too kind. How good is the War Within? I think that's the question. It's a question I've gotten a lot. There's a lot of people DMing me right now. A lot of people tweeting about this. A lot of people wondering, is it time to come back? Isn't it time to come back? What am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do. The fact of the matter is, I mean, this is a problem that Blizzard created, right? People have burnt their fingers on World of Warcraft expansions that's been overhyped and overblown for a while, so I get that there's a lot of people that is sort of quietly apprehensive at coming back to the expansion. So for those people, I do want to say, and I genuinely do not believe that I am exaggerating this in any way, shape, or form. This is the best starting vanilla base experience that I have ever had in World of Warcraft ever, period. Everything about this expansion works. Everything. I have not experienced a single moment in the expansion where I've looked at things and I thought to myself, I don't really like this. I'm not entirely sold on this. So let's talk. Visuals, perfect. Music, and I just found out today, the guy who is the lead composer for this expansion, this is his first expansion ever where he is the lead composer for the expansion. So that is insane, right? That is like really cool. But the music slaps. This is probably one of the first expansions where Blizzard have taken a lot of time to make sure that the music really fits the environment that you are in. So the music dynamically changes as you move from zone to zone. And it has done that in the past to varying degrees. Although a lot of the time the music would just be sort of like, there's different music in the zone. Whether it fits or doesn't fit was sometimes a bit of a question. Now, by that, I'm not saying that World of Warcraft music has ever been bad. Please don't. There's a reason we only ever listen to World of Warcraft music on my streams. Because it is some of my favorite music. It's beautiful. But it feels like it's been elevated. It feels like it's been taken from, let's say, A+ to like A+++. It's just, when you run into an inn, and you know what? The last time I felt like this running into an inn was in Mist of Pandaria. The Mist of Pandaria music in the inn gave me this sort of vibe. But now when you run into the inn truly makes you feel homey and safe, and this is your home base. This is where you are. You're safe here, nothing's going to attack you here. This is where you rest. That's the feeling the music gets you. Then you run into a cave and the music changes, becomes dark, heavy, sort of, pushing down on you. You can feel, okay, I'm in a cave now. You run into these glorious open spaces of Hallowfall. You see that crystal in front of you, and the music tells you that there is something mysterious here. So musically, and music is so important. Have you guys ever, there's a YouTube channel that does this, where they remove the music from movies. Just like scenes in movies where they remove the music entirely. Go watch movies where the music has been completely removed, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Music allows us to emotionally connect with a world. It's not just there to be fun. It's not just there to fill in the gaps. Music is there to make us believe. It sells us on what is happening. Go watch an action sequence in any movie, and then see how that action sequence just completely falls flat if you remove the music. There's nothing, right? There's no suspense. There's no something bad is coming. And they nail it in this expansion. They truly do. But then let's talk about the big one for me. The thing that I'm here for, the thing that you guys are here for, the story. Oh. You cannot help but be in awe. Every single quest feels like it was designed with care and with direction. That's the big thing. There isn't a single quest that I have done so far that has felt filler to me. Not a single one. Every single quest has a purpose for being there. The purpose is world building in the side quests. the purpose is main storyline in the MSQ. And it feels that way. It hits that way. The story delivery this time around, near perfection. The pacing, near perfection. The voice acting. Now, the voice acting is phenomenal. The character design is something that I don't see a lot of people taking time to explain. My favorite character so far in The War Within is Faerun Lothar, which is interesting because I didn't think Faerun Lothar would be my favorite character. I genuinely didn't. I saw Faerun and I was like, all right, whatever. But here's why I like Faerun. Now, no, Demon, I'm not talking about Faerun as in the coolest character. Coolest is Alatath, right? Like 100%. I'm talking about favorite as in from a writing perspective. So if I'm looking at it as a writer, as the characters are written, Faerun Lothar is my favorite character. Because Faerun Lothar has this depth of personality that isn't immediately obvious. When you first meet Faerun Lothar, she is badass warrior, girl boss. She's gonna save the day. And then she has private conversations with Anduin, conversations with her armorer. And there's a femininity that comes through, a softness. There's a genuine sense of care. She is not there because she's trying to prove what a great warrior she is. She's not there because she wants guts and glory and, she wants praise. You can tell in her conversations and the way that she was written, she genuinely cares about the people of Hallowfall, her people. And she is a lantern, I think they call themselves lantern bearers or some shit like that, or lamplighters. She is a lamplighter because she needs to save their people. And what is so amazing about her, and this is sometimes where they drop the ball a little for me on Illyria. So what's cool about Faerun is when it's in battle, she is fierce, right? She's fierce. She's battle mode. Let's go. We're going to be fighting. When she's out of battle, you can see Faerun. Not the warrior, not the lamplighter, Faerun. And then back in war, back in armor, let's go down to business, right? Where sometimes with Anduin, it will feel a little, not with Anduin, with Illyria, it's sometimes as if she doesn't have those two characters within herself. And I realize that that's a choice. They want to show that she's always on her guard, always ready to fight the good fight. But then, obviously, how can I put this? It can be a little bit jarring from a writing perspective, although that may change now since I've just finished a storyline with Illyria, and it seems like Illyria has grown a little bit. There's some character progression that's taking place there. So I'm really hoping that we do see some level of change on that front, but we'll have to wait and see, right? Because I think it's brilliantly written. Someone said, the Grey, I think, said well-rounded character. And yes, she is a phenomenally well-rounded character. And I would love to see more of those characters being presented in World of Warcraft. The other character that I also really, really love, and if you haven't started playing yet, keep an eye out for Dagran. Dagran is literally me. Every questline I do with Dagran he acts the way that I would act if I was on Azeroth. Like, genuinely, that's me on Azeroth. Just running around trying to figure out all of the lore. Couldn't give two shits about what's going on around me. It's just like, ooh, is that Titans? So I genuinely enjoy Dagran. Dagran as a character is like really cool for me. The story is dark. It's gritty. I've seen a bunch of people miss that. There's a bunch of people that is still making sort of weird accusations about the story being too friendly. I don't see that. I genuinely don't. I think the moments of friendship has been very nicely interspersed with moments of great strife and struggle. Turmoil, thank you so much for the €2. €2. Really appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Farron's nice and all, but there's one flaw she has. What is that, Turmoil? What is the flaw? It just felt like the balance has been struck. And you know what? I'm willing to bet about 2 years ago, we found out that Blizzard, for the first time ever, was in the business of hiring a creative director. And specifically, a narrative creative director. That was a position that Blizzard opened up. I believe that this position was in the meantime filled by Chris Mason, and then Chris Mason just merged that with the creative office. And I said at the time when I made my video on this, the fact that Blizzard is only now trying to find a lead creative narrative director speaks volume of the flaws of World of Warcraft up until this point in time. For a long time, there wasn't anyone keeping Blizzard focused. You know, the story would sometimes just feel disjointed. It would feel like we're jumping from this thing to that thing. We're sort of hunting to try and make things cool. Instead of just going, wait. What is the actual plan, right? So where do we want to go with this? And that's where, and I hate to say this, but that's where you get things like burning down Teldrassil. You wanted something cool. You wanted a really cool moment without really knowing what you want to do in the future. So let's just burn the tree now. Imagine cool moment. Woohoo! And then we'll figure out what we do later. That's where you get things like Sourfang being killed by Sylvanas. Very important death. And when you kill important characters, it is important that those characters, their deaths need to matter. Right? Their deaths need to mean something. You get into Shadowlands and Sourfang's death feels very unnecessary because it doesn't deliver on what it requires. And all of that is down to the lack of a narrative director, because you don't have someone that guides the story, someone that keeps the bigger picture in mind and says, all right, boys, we can't do this because we want to go there. And if you do this, that's a stupid thing, because how the hell are we going to get ourselves out of this thing in the future? This time around, you don't feel any of that. I don't know if you guys would disagree with me. Is there any of you that would disagree? Like, you feel that there's still a lack of direction in the current story? What do you guys think? The entire world building is phenomenal, from music to landscape to people living and breathing. There is life in every nook and cranny. True. Yeah, I've seen that with horror movie clips. It wasn't scary anymore. True. I was really bored with Dawn and Ringing Deeps, and Hallowfall was only just okay. Ash Kahate was awesome, though. I play WoW without music. I like the OST, but Drowning Pool while I game. Shay, you are destroying the game for yourself. What are you doing? Trust me when I tell you need the music. I can't believe you would play WoW without the music. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? The flaw is being proud of being disabled. Turmoil, I don't think... If you play the storyline with her at her blacksmith, and if this is spoiler for anyone, I really apologize. No. Her refusing the prosthetic arm isn't about being proud of being disabled. That's not why she's refusing the prosthetic arm. The first prosthetic arm, and this is where that storyline is really cool, the first prosthetic arm was refused because of weight. It was just too heavy on the one side, which made it difficult for her. Because remember, she would only have gotten the offer of these prosthetics once they were really set up. And at this point, she had already sort of gotten used to the idea of only having the one arm, right? And then now she gets offered this new prosthetic that really is awkward. It's a little bit too heavy, which is throwing her entire fighting style off. It's throwing her off balance. And so she stops using it. But now she spends another 10 years, 5, 6, 7 years learning how to do everything with just the one arm. And eventually she just says, nah, I'll stay like this, you know? I'll stay, this is fine. I know how to do things like this. So I don't want to relearn everything now with a new prosthetic. And I respect this. I respect this. I didn't get the idea that it was a sense of pride thing for her. You know, that would have been weird. That would have been awkward. I don't think anyone could ever really claim that they are proud of being disabled. What the fuck are you talking about? You're proud of being disabled. It is a flaw, right? It's not something that happens. People don't go out of their way to try and make themselves disabled, right? It's something that happens to you that you have to figure out how to live with. And so she did exactly that. She figured out how to live with it. And I think the story does a brilliant way of describing and explaining that. So I definitely don't have a problem with that. All right, let's see here. Who did I miss? I like the lore in general sense, but I am not analytical about it, so I love to listen to lore videos because then I think about what I heard. Melissa, well, I'm happy to provide you with the lore videos. Right, humans? No, but orcs? Joe, what do you mean? Pulled out? Abaddon, how you doing, bro? A shield is the most useful item you can have in battle other than a weapon. And she has the shield, right? Farron is going to steal Anduin's heart, and they are going to have a child that will be the final descendant in the line of Arathor. Richards, I don't know. I don't think that's what will happen. I didn't get the sense that Anduin and Farron have a romantic relationship. I get the sense more that they have a brother-sister relationship almost. Anduin is obviously wounded. His ego, his pride is hurt. And she has physical wounds. And so she's helping him figure it out. But I definitely didn't get romantic senses from their relationship. Not since I also believe there's been some work done by Blizzard in the past to try and lay the groundwork for Anduin and Talia Dragon, right? There's been some work there. So yeah, I don't think so. I get the sense he admires her, but it can end up romantic. It can end up romantic, but I'm not entirely sure if that is where it's going. Right? I mean, Shattered Hand Clan, Kargath was quite proud. Joe, yes, but that was that was a different thing, right? They were doing this to themselves to be part of the Shattered Hand Clan, right? And then they would exchange it for like a blade that would be made part of them. So it was a little bit, you could say that was a fanatical sect of Orcish society. Not that any of the Orcish hordes or clans were not also very, very fanatical about what they did. But I would say in this instance, I don't think it's the same, right? Because they were actively choosing to do this to themselves. Because he left the lady in Borealis and ghosted her for 4+ years. Richards, but she understands. You see, what happened was, okay, so let me explain to you what happened. When Anduin and Talia first met, he did what every guy does when he flirts. He sent the dick pic, right? And she loved it. Obviously, that's why you send dick pics, so that the girl will fall in love with you. So now that she's in love with him, and she saw his dick, and she sees that he's well endowed, right? Now she doesn't want to leave him. So even after 4 years, she's thinking, where you might think logically, you know what, she should leave him because he's ghosted her for 4 years. She's thinking, I can fix him. So it's all fine. It's all good, right? She's busy taking care of things in Borealis, and she knows that she can fix Anduin. So you don't have to worry about that. His dick pic is the difference maker, really, in this entire situation. So I'm telling our secrets out loud, Akko. Dude, I think all the girls know. I mean, the girls like it when you send dick pics. This has been well confirmed over and over again. I am joking. It's a suggestion based on how Anduin got his groove back expansion we're in. I like the devotion. My wife loves mine. I don't know if that counts, though. You're forgetting the part where they have a picture of them randomly with their shirt off. I always see that on Facebook Friend Finder that uses the same dating app profile. Oh, wait. The guy has a picture of himself with his shirt off. More importantly, I'll have 2 solid days of SM2 before Mythics, etc. come out. My body is ready. I fully expect her to get a better prosthetic at some point during the expansion. Yeah, I think so too, Gray. I think she will eventually get a really nice prosthetic on. I just think it's not going to be this one. Oh yeah, Kyle, I always hate that. The cringiest fucking selfies you get are ones taken in front of cars and ones taken on the beach, dude, and I will die on that hill. It is cringe beyond measure. I just hate when I see that crap. The vacation time from 12 to 22nd, right, was nice. How many of you have vacation coming up? Like, how many of you did the smart thing, like Kiki did, because I know Kiki did it, she told me she's going to do it, took your holiday, your leave, at the start of Season 1, instead of taking your leave when the expansion came out? How many of you did that? Next Friday, all right. Does losing a job count? Yeah. I mean, that's indefinite leave, Dog Mephisto. I've been on vacation for the past 2 years. Jock's also on indefinite leave, so there we go. Still got 12 days to take for the year, though, so might take a few days somewhere. 20% holidays, welcome to unemployment. I sadly didn't take time off, but wish I had. The Grey, why didn't you take time off, though? Getting extra days off around the start of seasons. Nice, Retros. What do you think Illidan will fit in with the story, if put in, and who will end up being the Lich King at the end? Would Anduin volunteer knowing he was tainted? Phoenix? Okay, so Illidan, if Illidan is gonna come back, I can see Illidan coming back towards the end of Midnight, or maybe the start of The Last Titan. The reason for it is I don't see a world in which Illidan returns anywhere before, because I don't see a place for him in the story before. Now, all of that changes if Xal'atath makes a move on, and here's what I'm gonna, so here, I am actually gonna give you guys a little bit of lore. Let's do a bit of speculation here. I have a feeling that this entire world saga has one goal and one goal only, and that is the complete and utter unification of the Horde and the Alliance. Allow me to explain. We know that for the longest time now, Blizzard have basically been destroying the divisions between the Horde and the Alliance. You can now play with people on every single faction. You can now pretty much not find a single storyline in the last two expansions that even differentiate between the two different groups. So fundamentally, from gameplay and also from the lore, there really isn't two factions anymore. If you take a look at just this expansion, who have we played with this entire expansion? We played with the dwarfs, Magni and his family. We played with Anduin. We played with Illyria. Alliance. All of the characters we see everywhere is Alliance or Alliance adjacent. The Earthen, if I'm not mistaken, is a neutral race, right? Played for a little bit with Thrall, but I'm not entirely sure I would count that, right? It was like a short quest line with Thrall and then it was over. Let me explain to you why Blizzard is destroying the factions. Okay, before I do that, can I quickly just ask? How many of you believe that factions should be demolished in World of Warcraft so that people can be whichever faction they want to be based on the race that they want to play, and the factions should just be PvP groups? It shouldn't really be at war. It should just be PvP groups. Okay, you don't think so? Why? Can I ask, why do you not think so? What's the reason that you don't like it? I think they should separate. I think they should separate story and gameplay here. Canal, why? Capticus, I mean, I've explained before how you could have PvP work without, you can still have it as Horde and Alliance, but here's how you do it. In every single one of the capital cities, you have 2 new buildings, one Horde building and one Alliance building. These are battle groups. The entire idea, lore-wise, behind the battle groups is that we're fighting to keep ourselves sharp, right? So we're more sparring with each other, skirmishing, in order to become stronger so that we can face the threats. And that's it, right? So it's no longer a thing of, oh, I joined the Horde because I hate the Alliance, or I joined the Alliance because I hate the Horde. No, these are just battle groups. And we join the battle groups and we skirmish each other in order to become stronger. That takes care of the lore there. And I think it works, right? Black and white exists, 2 yin and yang, the one with can't without the other. 3 beaches as skirmishers, and screw the Alliance. That sounds horrendous. Fernie, why? Why does that sound horrendous? Because you have pretty much that at the moment. The only thing you have at the moment that doesn't work is you can't be a human and join the quote-unquote Horde, right? And you can't be a human and go make Orgrimmar your main city. They have to make another faction against us, Fernie, but I'm not finished. I'm only asking you a single question right now. I'm not finished. Did you think this was the end of the discussion? Oh, no, sir. There's much more coming. Much more. Faction pride mainly. There is no more faction pride. Faction pride has been dead for a long time. Don't believe me? Go tweet some shit on Twitter and see how many people give a crap about faction pride. The overwhelming majority of people that are currently playing World of Warcraft weren't around during the days that faction pride would have been a thing. I come from an era where faction pride was a thing, and I joined the Horde literally because I hated the Alliance. And I still kind of hate the Alliance, if I'm honest, because I started playing Warcraft 30 years ago with the demo of Warcraft 1. That's how long I've been part of Warcraft, ladies and gentlemen. So I can tell you, I played Orc versus humans. I hated the humans. I played Warcraft 2, I played Warcraft 3, and then I played World of Warcraft, right? So I know a thing or two about hating the Alliance and being a Horde-only character or a Horde-only player. That doesn't change the fact that Blizzard is clearly moving towards that direction. Now, many of you have listed that one of your key problems with that idea is who are we fighting now, right? If we're not fighting each other, what is the point of World of Warcraft? Considering it's called World of Warcraft, right? So there should be war, and then who are we fighting? So there's 2 options here for Blizzard. The first option is the one that I really hope they don't go with. That is to just always have newer, bigger, and badder enemies. Kind of what they've been doing for the last 2 expansions. The problem with that is you're almost always going to run out of new, big, bad enemies to fight. And also, it's very difficult to make those enemies matter if it's only for like an expansion or 2 and then it's over, right? So that, if Blizzard goes that direction, I feel like that's a wasted opportunity to do something really good. The one that I would prefer Blizzard go with, you have already met them. You've already met them. It's the Empire. Now, I've made videos on this before. I've explained this before, but I will do it again. Can anyone in chat tell me, who does the Empire remind you of? Nay, Who is the Empire a carbon or near carbon copy of? I can immediately see who are hardcore World of Warcraft players and who play at least some other games. I love all of you, but the Imperium of Man. If you read all of the lore about the Empire, it may as well be the Imperium of Man. The Imperium of Man exists in Warhammer 40k. In Warhammer 40k, humans come from the planet Terra, Earth, but it's been renamed Terra. The Emperor is the leader, or the king, or the god, actually, of the Emperor, of the Imperium of Man. The Imperium of Man are highly xenophobic, super religious, and they kill everything. Everything. There is nothing that they don't want to kill. It is basically their highest honor is to die for the Emperor and for the Imperium of Man. That's it. That's all they care about. They just want to kill themselves. And this is genuinely, I kid you not, when Warhammer 40k fans read about the Empire in World of Warcraft, it's like, dude, this is the Imperium of Man. Fuck. This is like genuinely the Imperium of Man. Now, in Warhammer 40k, there is a lot more to it, right? That I don't think Blizzard is 100% copying the Imperium of Man, because that would require a hell of a lot more explanation, and a lot of people wouldn't like it because the Imperium of Man, they have a food type called corpse starch. Now you can make up your own mind as to what you think that is, right? But all you have to know is there are trillions and trillions of humans throughout the galaxy, and they are religious zealots. And that's the Empire. That's literally who the Empire is, right? They're religious zealots, followers of the light, highly xenophobic, highly distrusting of everyone. Farron says this. The only reason they trust us is because they're desperate. They're desperate. They need help. They're alone. And they're fighting this war against the Nerubians, and the Nerubians are relentless. If they were back with the Empire, they would not accept us. Farron says this to Anduin himself. So, yeah, you need to understand this. The Empire is going to become, in my opinion, a major threat in World of Warcraft. And that is what I think Blizzard is doing with this entire World Saga. They're setting up this Empire to be the next big threat, so that the Horde and the Alliance no longer matter, and instead we can focus all of our attention on the Empire. The Scarlet Crusade fits this to some extent, right? But the Scarlet Crusade was never quite as organized as the Empire. I think the Scarlet Crusade is going to join in 100%, but I don't think now. This is where I think, remember, this entire thing came from Illidan, right? Someone asked about Illidan and where Illidan fits into this. So, how does Illidan fit into this entire storyline? We know in Midnight that Quel'Thalas is going to become a major battleground in the World Soul Saga. As the forces of darkness and the forces of Eridicron make their move on Quel'Thalas, the elves, and by elves I mean all of the elves, are going to mobilize to save pretty much a historic landmark of elven society. So you're going to see the Night Elves and the Blood Elves, and maybe even the Void Elves to some extent. And maybe we might even see some High Elves and stuff becoming part of the storyline. Set aside all of their differences in order to go save this city. I would also not be surprised if Blizzard didn't mention this, but Suramar may become a battleground state as well in the coming war. I don't know why, but I have this feeling that Suramar is going to come back. Call it a hunch, but there might be some moves made there. Mainly because you have the Moonwell and the Sunwell, and Xal'atath appears to love misdirection. She never sends forces to just the place that she needs them. She'll sort of attack 4 or 5 different areas, and then her main target is sort of spread in one of these areas. And I think this is what's going to happen. She's going to launch a massive attack on Suramar. We're going to go to defend Suramar, and then we're going to find out that the actual force is at Quel'Thalas. This is the moment that I think Illidan comes back to save Quel'Thalas. And this is another one of those moments where the Horde and the Alliance have to come together in order to stop the actual battle, right? And the actual threat. I think by the end of this expansion, by the end of the World Soul Saga, there will be almost no difference between Horde and Alliance in World of Warcraft. God of War, how you doing, bro? This isn't the real fight. I hope they fix Faction Wars by simply resetting everything and making WoW 2 after the saga ends. Sonori, may I ask, why do you want a WoW 2? Question, mate. Don't you think Xal'atath may have something to do with Night Elves? In one of the animatics, she is shown in her elven form long before trolls turn into Night Elves. You're talking about the... Wait, which animatic are you referring to? Are you referring to the flashbacks? Maybe it's the classic Fantasy and less clutter? Zenori, the problem is that I don't see how a WoW 2 fixes any of the problems in World of Warcraft. Like, any of the perceived problems that people may have with World of Warcraft, I don't see how a WoW 2 takes care of that problem. I'm just trying to quickly figure out what you're saying. You're talking about Xal'atath appearing... Hold up. We're quickly going to watch... Are you talking about this one? Are you talking about this cinematic? Empire learns about current world in Hallowfall. Comes to claim their former territory. Fresh Rider, the Empire will almost definitely show up. I want to club some Alliance scum. Ducky, you're probably not going to be able to do that. The one where she stands in front of the Nerubians? Yeah, it's this one. Okay, so let's quickly... Let's see. You're talking about the flashbacks.
Slender is the strand that guides our destiny. Known only by true sacrifice. In our kingdom of Azj-Kahet, no one understood this sacrifice more than Queen Neferis, my mother. I saw this when the Black Empire came to conscript us for their last stand at Ny'alotha. My mother refused them.
For this treachery, your line will sever itself. This kingdom will wither with the waning of your worth.
We're gonna see it now. Hold up.
That day. Look at them out there. Wretched. Starving.
I am not immune to our people's suffering.
I think it's here. I think it's from here.
Are you seeing
We start
this?
seeing the flashbacks here, I think.
You have heard my voice in your dreams, great queen.
You're talking about that moment, right? Now, there's two options here. we'll just play this out so we can pause there. So we can explain. But there's two options to this. I get exactly what you're saying, and I've had arguments and disagreements about this for some time. Now, there's two options here. Option number one is that this is during the days of the Black Empire, right? The problem I have with this is that, as you can see, the Black Empire here is crumbled. It's fallen apart. There's almost no structures left of the Black Empire, right? Option number two is that this is the future. Xal'atath is showing her what is going to come. So how this will play out. But there is a third option. And it is almost, I would call it transference that happens. So, since Xal'atath is currently in this new body, so Xal'atath is in this body, she is appearing to the queen in this body, and remember, we don't know what Xal'atath's true form looks like, so obviously there's no way of knowing. It is possible that Xal'atath chooses to show the queen memories and visions that would be familiar to her. So if Xal'atath showed herself in her true form, or in the form that she was in during the ages, so let's say this is way back when, then the queen would be very confused, right? Because she's seeing Xal'atath, but what she's seeing now isn't Xal'atath, or at least not the one that she saw in the vision. So I wouldn't read too much into this. I personally, if you ask my personal opinion, I believe that this is a vision of what is to come and not a vision of what was. But I know many people have differed from me. There's many people that say, no, this is a vision of what was. I don't see it. I think this is the future, or at least one of the futures. I think the last one makes the most sense. I had assumed this was in the past, and Blizzard just used the form that the audience would recognize instead of coming up with some abstract older form. Well, Anthony, I wasn't even trying to explain from Blizzard's perspective. I was trying to explain from a lore perspective, but from Blizzard's perspective as well. If it was me coming up with the cinematic and I need to show Xal'atath in the past, I need to make sure that the audience actually knows what the hell I'm talking about, right? I can't show a different being, one that the audience has never seen before, if I want the audience to know that it is Xal'atath. Otherwise, all of us would have watched this, and we would have been like, wait, who's that dark figure? Is that Xal'atath? That doesn't look like Xal'atath. So it could literally just be the choice that Blizzard makes, and they sort of want us to forget the idea that Xal'atath got this body very recently. Fairly recently, in fact. She might as well be a Void Walker like Apparition. Yeah, the new queen got a nose. I don't know about nose, but yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that. At least not at the moment. I think there's a lot of room still for other explanations there. We made it to the end of the War Within. I'm at the end of the main campaign. We still have 5 chapters left. The 5 max level chapters left. I wanted to stream them tonight, but I'm not going to have time because I have to go out. I've been invited to dinner with some friends earlier today, so I'm gonna have to go do that. And then I don't know how this weekend looks for me. This weekend is kind of busy, but I might have time tomorrow night to stream for a few hours. So then we'll get stuck in on that tomorrow night. Z Vengeance, no. Dinner at their house. So it's just normal dinner. She was re-originated by Zal. Random input, but I found the gig speaker sounds like Amanthul. Mubandu, what do you mean? No, not pizza sushi, Melissa. Z Vengeance is asking, are we going for pizza or for sushi? And I'm saying, no, it's at their house. So it won't be either of those. I think it's soup. I don't like soup, but they invited me, so I'm not going to be like, nah, actually, I don't eat soup. I will go because I like the company. He was right about the Titans. God of War, in what way was I right about the Titans? I mean, if I'm always on the side of the Titans being evil, so if I am right, I'm gonna bathe in the tears of all those that absolutely disagreed with me the whole time. I will make a cup, a mug with tears of people that denied the Titans are evil. Because it is my absolute wish that the Titans are beyond evil. The eye speaker sounded like Amanthul, really random, but I thought of him whilst he spoke during the cinematic. No, I don't think it's Amanthul. I know what you're trying to say, but I don't think it's Amanthul. I want more Black Blood lore. I thought it was a new thing, but that proto-troll said it has been around for ages. Epic Thulu, so I think the next patch is actually going to deal with the proto-trolls. Because I saw a lot of people actually being very confused. Everyone thought that these proto-trolls would be a big deal, and then they turned out to not be a big deal at all. And I personally, I think they're going to be a huge deal. But I don't think now. I think they're going to be a huge deal in the future. And yeah, I just would like to point this out for all of you that don't follow me on Twitter. Let me just show you this. Richards, what do you mean there's no breadcrumbs that lead us to an Arathi empire? Shay, what do you mean don't do this to you? Do this to you how? I think this expansion has made it very clear that the Titans are at least morally questionable with their treatment of the Earthen. True. Every Blood Elf, up until recently, was green-eyed. See, Vengeance, yes, but there's... The entire quote needs to be kept in mind. The vassal of life disguises treachery. Beware the eyes of green. So, if the entirety of if the context of the sentence is kept in mind, the creature has to be at least in some way linked to life. Or the vassal of life. Or it is the vassal of life. But it's so reasonable? I think so. I hear that we are going to her root lands later. What are your thoughts on how the Arathi were teleported into Hallowfall? The Grey, I think we see how the Arathi were teleported in when you fly towards the crystal. I think flying towards the crystal shows you because they say they saw a giant flash of light and then suddenly they were inside Hallowfall. What I don't understand is why. Why this happened to them. Because it didn't happen to any of us. Sailing in, this didn't happen to us. Now there is... I don't know. No, I doubt it. There is another option. But I don't... The other option is that the Empire isn't on another island on the surface of Azeroth, but that they are actually on an island inside Azeroth. Because what bothers me is when we sailed, or when ships sail on the surface of Azeroth, towards the Isle of Dawn, they don't get sucked into Hallowfall. Right? And yet, they flew, possibly, they flew with their ships, and then suddenly weird light flash, and then they were in Hallowfall. And I can't help but think the only reason that would happen is if you were already at or near the crystal. Right? I don't know. Unless, of course, we're making the argument the crystal was once not that deep, so it wasn't actually sticking out of the roof. And the sword of Sargeras actually pushed the crystal further down. So the crystal actually interfered with them flying overhead, but now that the crystal is further down, it's no longer interfering with anything overhead, but it is interfering with everything under. I don't know. It's a weird, it's really a weird set of circumstances at the moment. We haven't seen the other side of Azeroth? No, of course not. There's another reason. It was an alternate reality timeline. Shay, but why? How would they come up? How would they show up on our timeline then? Do you think the crystal moved them from a different timeline into our timeline? I think so, Beer Expert. I mean, but the problem is we can't really know because we now have, I would say, we have definitive proof of one of my theories. So if you guys remember, let me just quickly get a map of Azeroth here. One of my theories was, come on. Here we go. So one of my theories was the reason we can't leave this area here, right? So this area all around Azeroth is because of the stormy seas. That's been my theory for a while now. The stormy seas is what makes it near impossible. We know that the dragons on the Dragon Isles, not even they, and remember, they are dragons, not even they will fly through the stormy seas, right? It's just impossible. And then we find out from the Arathi that are now in Hallowfall that the stormy seas has incredible storms constantly. So the storms never end. That's why it's called the stormy seas. And it has gale strength winds, torrents and torments that is just consistently going on. So you can think tornadoes, you can think hurricanes. Basically, going through the stormy seas is genuinely a nigh impossible task. Because they say they were completely pushed off course. So they don't know how far they drifted off course. They have no idea. The storm was basically just slinging them back and forth. And then suddenly there was this white light and boom, they were inside Hallowfall. So it could be that they were coming from this side here, right? But it is possible that they were actually from this side, got caught in the storm, and the storm took them all the way around here and then crash landed them here, right? Or they could have come from this top side down and the storm just sort of threw them to and fro. The stormy seas makes it difficult to know from which side they came. But I would bet money that it is from this side. I think Avaloran lies out west from where we are right now on Azeroth, not in real life. That would be weird. Like our part of Azeroth is like in the eye of the hurricane. Beer Expert, pretty much. And this links with my theory around what the Titans did on Azeroth. How many of you saw my video about the stormy seas? I just want to know if I have to cover it again, or you know, what would be best for you guys. Watched it, but forgot most of it. Wow, Jock, that is inspiring. Thank you. No, it's all good. I'm gonna assume from the silence that most of you have not watched it. So my theory goes a little bit as follows. The Titans arrive on Azeroth. Now, remember, at the time, Azeroth would have been one great planet. Hold up. Map of Kalimdor, Land of Eternal Stars. Alright, so this would have been... I just load in. This would have been Azeroth at the time. Alright, but not quite Azeroth. I'm always down to listen to your theories again. Why, Zoe? Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Elodie, how you doing, brother? Okay, so we know a couple of things about this particular period of Azeroth. The first is that this was not the whole of Kalimdor, the Land of Eternal Stars, when the Titans arrived on Azeroth. How do we know this? The lore tells us this. This is the Titans' edicts themselves. So this is edicts from Odin and edicts from Tyr that says that the Titans used the storm giants in order to lift Earth from the ocean floor in order to build out what they would eventually call Kalimdor, Land of Eternal Stars. Well, they wouldn't call it that, the Night Elves would, but that's a whole different story. All right? So this may have been a lot smaller. Maybe it was actually this size, but some of the areas were sort of built out. We don't really know. We just know that the storm giants were involved in at least making it bigger than what it actually is. Not the largest continent, Matt. The Chronicles state that Azeroth was one of the larger continents. At no point does it state that Azeroth was the largest continent. Just one of the larger continents on Azeroth. It's important to understand that. This means that there are far more continents on Azeroth than what we are aware. Now, of course, the Titans arrive here, and what ends up happening, the Sea Giants and the Titans work together to bring order to this. The Titans imprison all of the old gods on this platform. Right at the center is the Well of Eternity. This is where Aman'Thul rips Yisraj out of the planet. They built the Well of Eternity. I reject that. I don't believe that Aman'Thul accidentally, on purpose, ripped out Yisraj from the planet. I believe he absolutely did it on purpose. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he needed the Well of Eternity exactly where it stands, because it's where the ley lines run. It's where the power of Azeroth is, or most of the power is concentrated there. I believe what the Titans then can proceed in doing is building a number of forges and engines all across Azeroth. And all of these engines and all of these forges have one fundamental reason for existing. It is to bind Azeroth and also to keep out the stormy seas, the chaos. Okay, so all around this area would be stormy seas. All around it. Now, what is the stormy seas? It's chaos, right? That is Azeroth without order. That is Azeroth in complete chaos. So the Titans, in order to protect their investment, had to keep out the chaos. And this is why these forges are built. This is why it's so difficult to leave this area. And I don't believe the reason for it was really to stop us from leaving. I think the reason was to stop whatever the fuck is outside from getting in. Now, that should raise a number of seriously weird questions for all of you. Take a look at the top right-hand corner for me. And also, take a look at the bottom there. It may give some insight. Retros, I think a part of Hallowfall may be on this map. I'm just not sure which part. There is clear signs inside Hallowfall of a city that sunk beneath the waves. The city that's there looks almost as if it's buried under rock and mountains. So either mountains rock was dropped on top of it, or... But it's weird. Top right-hand corner has sea creatures. Beasts. That's a hydra. That's in the top right-hand corner. Interestingly enough, it's on the outside of the map. The bottom side has a ship that looks eerily similar to that of the Arathi. Not gonna lie. It looks very similar to that of the Arathi. I don't think that was Blizzard's plan, but I do think Blizzard may have looked at this map and drew inspiration from these ships. Now, granted, it does look similar to our Zeppelins as well, so you could make, you can make whatever claim you want. But if we were to look at this map and say this map is a true map of World of Warcraft for all times, it may be that the Titans knew that the Arathi would be outside, because remember, the Titans do know the timeline. They know how the timeline is going to play itself out. And the monster up here is what they are protecting their investment from. So in other words, it is from the monsters on Azeroth. It is from the darkness on Azeroth. Remember, there is also a fifth old god that we don't know about. Now, if the Titans imprisoned all of the old gods, and instead of imprisoning the fifth one, instead decided to make Azeroth, the part that they built on, inaccessible, what does this tell us about the potential fifth old god? Like, all of the other old gods were imprisoned. The Titans had no problem with that. They imprisoned them. But this fifth one, the Titans decided to, instead of imprisoning it, instead decided to make Azeroth itself inaccessible to it. There is the fish quest in Hallowfall, true. Which I also, by the way, think is going to be a huge story at some point. Sarcasm Detector, how you doing, bro? Do you think that the Titan Forged are the original denizens of Azeroth that the Titan Forged converted to Order? The Curse of Flesh would be the conversion being undone? Sarcasm, that's exactly what I believe. Yeah. I think the fifth old god is related to hunger and might have been the ancient one that was mentioned in that lore stuff in Dragonflight. Okay. The old god is another continent. So yes, the fifth old god is on another continent. You guys are absolutely correct about that. But what that tells me, the fact that the Titans, instead of doing the easy thing, which is to simply imprison the fifth old god, the Titans decided to make Azeroth, their Azeroth, inaccessible for one reason and one reason only. That fifth old god is not to be fucked with. The fifth old god is so strong that the Titans just went, nah, fam. It's fine. You do your thing there. We'll just keep this place safe. Because we're not screwing around with that. Like, whatever the hell that thing is, that thing is too dangerous. How do we kind of know this? We have the Edicts of Odin and Tyr from Dragonflight, where it speaks about the Guardians and the Watchers that refused to believe the lies of the Titans that left for Avaloran. And then we know that the Watchers, Tyr, Odin, and them, sent expeditions to go and find the Watchers that left, and none of those expeditions ever returned. In other words, wherever those expeditions went, they are far too, like, they faced an enemy that was far too powerful for them to stop, and that's why they never returned. So if there is a fifth old god, there is a great chance that this fifth old god is beyond anything we've ever seen before. Is more powerful than anything we've ever seen before. And this, of course, once this happens, the Great Sundering happens, and then the Second Sundering happens, and now you have... Well, actually, the Great Sundering happens here, with Amanthul ripping Yisaraj out of the planet, and then when Sargeras tries to come through the Wall of Eternity, it causes the Great Sundering, and the Great Sundering is what splits this entire world in two, and now you have all of these different continents, but they all used to be one big continent. Now, I do believe that if you go into Hallowfall and you look at Hallowfall, there is evidence in Hallowfall of a city that existed somewhere and that may have been dragged down into the depths. It's possible that that city, maybe here in Uldum area, maybe existed here somewhere. Or that this city was once above and the Titans decided to pull it down. That I can't answer, right? I don't know. For the Titans, fifth god is a scary thought. Melissa, yes, it is a scary thought. Watch the fifth one, not even being a threat like the other ones, but not bothered about anything. Lundcraft, I don't know if it won't be bothered by anything, but it's definitely bided its time. Where is the city in Hallowfall? Oh, Sarkim Detector. You're gonna make me log into WoW now, aren't you? I'm happy to do so. I just want you to know that I'm logging into World of Warcraft right now only because you asked. I'm not playing because I want to play. Love you too, Sarkim. Shay, it is possible. It is possible, yeah. Playing WoW for enjoyment? No, it can't be. Lundcraft, true. It feels like an age since I could say that I actually do play WoW for enjoyment. But I do, actually. WoW is super fun now. Where is it in again? Is it...
Someone did.
This is where we come out.
These are
that
earthen
could be.
resources. We need you to mount a defense.
I'm not mounting defenses now, lady. It's not here. Where the fuck? Dude, I'm so confused still with this place. Oh, wait. Hold up. Let me go get this first. Alright, where am I going? This is where you enter and then it's supposed to be here. No? Am I just missing it? I'm pretty sure the purple is too far. No, I was going the right way and then I thought this was that actually. Never mind. Now we're here. Okay. Take a look at this. Do you see where I'm standing now? Can you see that this entire thing here, this is weird, no? Because this isn't built into the mountain. It is as if the mountain formed around it. Do you see what I mean? And then we can go down. We can look at that one there. But if we go down, we see the same thing here. Right? Clearly, some kind of disturbance in this area. Right? Disturbances that happened here. So clearly, some kind of damage that was done in some way to this. all around here, you can imagine that this was one giant wall at one point that just got destroyed somehow. Who knows why? Right? It's just very, 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 very interesting how, like, the way the architecture here works. It could be the Sundering, Britgold J. It is possible that the Sundering caused this. It could also be something else, right? It doesn't have to be the Sundering, but I would say I'm at least somewhat willing to believe that it may have been the Sundering. Because you can see the difference in architecture. You can see how the Arathi build versus that building over there, right? And it's not the same thing. Not even close. You can also look here, and I'm almost willing to bet that the original foundations, because again, take a look at this. Take a look at what's happening here. I'm going to try and slow way down so I can show you guys. Do you see the difference in architecture here between these two buildings? Do you see that? If you look at the bottom half, that is how that buildings over there were built. If you look at the top half, that is how the Arathi built. So very clearly, the Arathi built whatever structure this is on top of already existing structures. And you can see it there. These structures already existed. Look there, at the way bottom there as well. These structures already existed. I don't know. It's just very awkward. Very, very awkward. So is the Rituals possibly onto something? Are these Arathi from our old Arathi? They are from our Arathi. We already know that has been confirmed. They are from our Arathi Empire. Yeah, that has been confirmed. We know that. Dean, how you doing? No. No, I don't think this is part of the Black Empire. I think this was some kind of Titan city or Titan-esque kind of city. It's interesting how there's clouds whenever the thing turns void, no? And yet there's no clouds when it turns light. Oh, wait. It doesn't actually turn... It doesn't send you back when it's void. No way. There we go.
Encroach on Velhan's claim. Protect the residents.
There we go.
Aggression.
Why am I being attacked? What is this? Oh. I have to do something else. Server lag? I don't know if it is server lag or not server lag. I don't know. Let me just kill this thing. All right, we can leave here. But you guys see what I mean, right? You see what I'm talking about with just how weird it's been set up. Like it looks like a city built on top of another city at one point. Where that city is, I can't answer right now. I don't think anyone can, but it does look like it. I'm having trouble with reconciling the timelines in WoW. Like, Farron came as a child. So how old is she, for instance? How long ago did the Arathi Empire disappear? So, Melissa, okay. The Arathi Empire disappeared round about 15,000 years ago, I think. Is when the Arathi Empire leaves the shores of Eastern Kingdom and goes off to do their own thing. It is 15,000 years, right? I think it's 15,000 years. But this expedition in Hallowfall is 15 years. It's 2,000 years, not 15,000 years. Never mind. 2,000 years ago. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. 15,000 years is another event. It's also relevant, but not relevant to this at this point in time. But about 2,000 years ago, the Arathi Empire leaves the shores of Eastern Kingdoms, and they go off into the sunset doing things, whatever, right? This Hallowfall expedition arrives about 15 years ago. They say this in the quest line. They say 15 years ago, they crash landed here in Hallowfall. Now, we could probably start talking about maybe time works slightly different for them. And I would be willing to accept that time probably works a little bit different for them. Because, well, the only thing that they have that could potentially tell time would be that crystal. But we know that that crystal doesn't actually tell time. So their concept of 15 years may be very different to the actual, like how long it's actually been. Unless they have digital watches, in which case none of that matters, right? But fundamentally, according to their estimates, it's been about 15 years. So she would probably have been... The problem is, when you say she was a child, what do you mean? Was she 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10? Because that would mean she's now about 25. I would put her age round about 2021 is what I would guess she is. At least that's, yeah. Yeah, but she was only 8 when she was stowed away. She also says that she doesn't know how long they were caught in the sea of in the stormy seas. Right? The Armada, how long the Armada took to leave, all of that would play into X amount, right? Like however long it may be. But I put her age around, say, 20 to 25. I'd be comfortable with 25, although I think 25 is a little old. She doesn't quite look 25. So she's still young, but remember, she's been battle-tested, right? Since the day she arrived, she's been in war, almost. So she would obviously have grown up much faster than most people. Because it's safe, spoiler-wise, for the Hallowfall story, I want to share a screen from a dialogue with Illyria about Xalatath. Damien, I have not done any of the story at the max level campaign. So it's from there, then it's not safe. If it's anything before that, it's safe. Paul, the problem is the void phases in Hallowfall only starts when Sargeras' sword is plunged into the earth. We know this. We have confirmation for this. When Sargeras plunges his sword into Azeroth, the void phases around the crystal start. So they would not have had the crystal void phases before. The crystal would have always been burning bright as the sun. We know from the Earthen that something happened around 5,000 years ago that took their awakening machine offline. I think it's 5,000 years ago. I remember because during the stream, we were spending an obscene amount of time trying to figure out what could have happened 5,000 years ago. Because 15,000 years ago, the Sundering kind of makes sense. Right? You could put the Sundering of Sargeras around about that time. But 5,000 years ago, nothing happened 5,000 years ago that we know of that would have taken the awakening machine offline. At least I can't think of anything. So if any of you have some ideas of some event that may have happened that took down the Awakening Machine, I would love to hear it. Yeah, but Epic Cthulhu, the reason I'm saying 15,000 years ago, you could at least make the argument the Sundering could have had something to do with it, is it's around about that time, because most of our time in World of Warcraft is estimations of things, right? So I could forgive them saying 15,000 years. The problem is 5,000 years is a weird, it's a weird time, because nothing happened then. Nothing. We know nothing happened then because nothing was recorded. Not by the Watchers, not by us. And 5,000 years ago, the earlier civilizations already exist. So we would have had stories, at least, of the thing that took down the Awakening Machine that may have happened or may not have happened. Who knows? It's awkward, right? Could it have been when Sargeras killed the other Titans? Lazarus, no, because Sargeras tries to come through the portal, right, from Azara 10,000 years ago, right? Now, before that, Sargeras already kills the other Titans. Like, that happens before that moment. We don't know exactly when Sargeras kills the other Titans, but he kills them long before that moment. So, that also doesn't happen 5,000 years ago. It could be that that was the day the Titans returned to Azeroth, because we know, thanks to a bunch of retcons in recent years, instead of the Titans sort of floating around the Great Beyond, just sort of, you know, meaninglessly floating around, they did come to Azeroth. Like, their spirits were on Azeroth for a while. So maybe that, but again, I'm not entirely convinced of that. Well, Ginger Nuts, it all depends. So here's the question. The big question. If the Sword of Sargeras started to make the crystal pulse between light and void, what is inside the Sword of Sargeras? Titan Disc this week. There's a cutscene in the end. Elodie, all right, I will do. No, the evolution of dwarfs. When you say evolution of dwarfs, you mean when dwarfs go from being earthen to dwarfs? Because that also happened much earlier. Oh, Maurice, you're just talking about H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah. I don't have to Google that. I made videos on that. I made videos on Azeroth and the H.P. Lovecraft universe 6 years ago. Like 6 years ago, I had 3 or 4 videos where I dove into the entirety of the H.P. Lovecraft universe and how that matches up with the stories of Azeroth. So I'm well aware of the blind idiot god and the similarities. So Sargeras didn't randomly throw his sword to hurt Azeroth for petty reasons, but he knew the crystal was there, perhaps? It's my guess. My guess at the moment. Who in chat thinks that the crystal holds a soul? You lost me at things. Watch Azeroth sacrifice herself and reset everything while defending us after the last Titan. Part of me thought that he targeted Cthulhu's corpse. I think it's tied to or linked to Azeroth, possibly her memories. I'd say of any of the artifact, Ashbringer would be Zal's opposite. Ashbringer is literally the heart of an Aru. It could, but then the question is who? So my thoughts around this. I believe that we can look at the Earthen as a proxy for what the Titans did to Azeroth. I believe that the crystal may hold the memories of Azeroth. They were meant to be kept there. It is legitimately the soul of the world. Not because it's Azeroth's soul, it's Azeroth's memories. And in World of Warcraft, based on the Earthen storylines, memories appear to be super important. Allow me to explain. Obviously, World of Warcraft is a game, so it's not going to work the same way that life works. We know normal human beings is a mixture of nature versus nurture. So, yes, some of your personality will be the experiences that you have, but a massive part of your personality will literally just be your genes, will just be how you were born. Now, genes can upregulate and downregulate depending on circumstances. So you can have people with a gene to be something, but if the environment isn't perfect for it, that gene just doesn't flip. So that does happen. We know that that happens. Azeroth, or the history or the science biology of World of Warcraft will obviously not be that intricate, because it needs to be understandable by your average Twitter moron. So, yeah, it won't be that difficult to follow. Instead, what we see with the Earthen is very interesting and very revealing to what makes a person from a canonical standpoint. And it appears to be memories. Allow me to explain. The Earthen have edicts from the Titans. Their edicts are to serve the Titans and fulfill their duties as given to them by the Titans, and they do this diligently without question, always. A part of their edicts is that they must upload their memories and then go through an awakening process where they recharge and come back with no memories. So basically, no memories whatsoever. Why does the Titans do this? Why is it important for the Titans that the Earthen upload all of their memories, have their memory cores wiped, and then come back with no memories? Well, again, this storyline gives the answer. The more memories the Earthen collect and acquire, the more personality the Earthen start to develop. You have Earthen that fall in love, that can't explain the feeling because they don't understand it. Because the edicts of the Titans were never about love. And yet, because of the experiences that they have, they feel love.
About the ones before that the Naru don't tell us about. Valadar Loon's spaceship, Bell Amit Arms of the Goddess.
John, how you doing, brother? That Naru don't tell us about Baladar Loon's spaceship. You think Baladar was a Loon spaceship? It might be. It might be. Thank you so much for the $5, man. Or £5, actually. Really appreciate you, man. Thank you. But all right, so the memories are leading to personalities. It's leading to actual people, right? They're becoming sentient. They're starting to think about their predicaments. They're starting to question, why are they supposed to follow the edicts? Prior to this, no Earthen ever questioned the edicts. They simply obeyed. But the more memories they acquire, the more they start to think, no, but why? Why should I do these things? I don't want to do these things, right? Given how important memories are in World of Warcraft, it stands to reason that memories, if you can influence someone's memories of themselves, you can exercise full control over said person. If I am right, then Baladar is the memory gem of Azeroth. literally crafted by the Titans to wipe Azeroth's memories, upload it to the gem, wipe Azeroth's memories, upload it to the gem. That crystal, and that crystal being the battleground state that it is right now, makes sense. It also explains why Azeroth has not woken up, regardless of how much has happened to her, because Azeroth isn't sentient. Azeroth can't think. The Thragar gives us another bit of insight into this. The fact that Azeroth creates Thragar consistently, and this is all in my newest video. I'm literally just recapping it here for people who haven't watched the video or didn't even know that the video was out there. Because that video did get not that many views. So if you want like a full-blown explanation, go watch my newest upload. But fundamentally, the idea is keep Azeroth's memories wiped, so Azeroth doesn't know what is happening around her, and then allow for Azeroth to basically perpetually be a slave of the Titans, a slave to the Order of the Titans. The Thragar, and the existence of the Thragar, and given what Magni does in his final act as a Thragar, suggests Azeroth knows what the Titans did to her. She knows that the Titans are stealing her memories. She's just not entirely sure how to save herself. And so she creates the Thragar. I believe the thing that killed the Awakening Machine, I'm going to put this out here so that we can judge it when Blizzard finally reveals it. I believe it was a Thragar that took the Awakening Machine offline. This was Azeroth's way of freeing the Earthen. She couldn't free herself, but she could free the Earthen. And that's how she did it, by taking down the Awakening Machine. This totally makes sense, considering the pre-patch event. If that's the case, I wonder if that's what happened to some of the other Titans too, when they were World Souls. Lunecraft, it's entirely possible. Of course, that is based on the assumption that the other Titans were World Souls, right? I'm not entirely convinced that the other Titans are indeed World Souls. But if the other Titans are World Souls, it is possible that Aman'Thul or one of the other Titans did the exact same thing to them as a way of controlling them, giving them only the memories that they require in order to follow the plan. Do they do with the crystal in the future? I love how Azeroth has given freedom to two forces now, the Earthen and the Aspects. That's another thing, right? That's another thing. Azeroth gifts the Aspects their powers and increases their power. So yeah, Azeroth does seem like she is slowly but surely freeing all of the races of Azeroth from the control of the Titans, no? The Zeroth Mortis pylon conduit things looks like the Legion ships. I haven't seen those. I should go. I'll go check it out. Doesn't the first book of Chronicles say Titans are world souls, or am I just thinking of what has generally been accepted to be true, not proven to be true? So the Chronicles does absolutely, Melissa, state that the Titans are world souls that were born inside planets. I dispute that fact because I don't believe them. Because we know that there is a realm called Zeroth Ordis. And we know that Zeroth Ordis is important enough that the Titans do not wish for us to know about it. This suggests that the Titans, as in Aman'Thul, Aenar, those, were created the same way that Zuval and the others were. inside Zeroth orders. This is where they come from. And them telling us that they were born inside World Souls is to make us feel familiar. Like, the idea is we'll tell them that we are like their planet so that they will help us, right? Because why would we suspect that they have bad intentions if they are like our planet, right? You're forgetting one thing. Shadowlands suck. Turmoil, I am not forgetting that little fact, bro. I'm well aware that Shadowlands sucks. It's just that Shadowlands still has phenomenal lore attached to it, even though it did suck. Previous little buggers, bad. But Shadowlands happened, true. Take it a step or two further. The Titans have already captured Azeroth and are using her to order the cosmos. And that's my penultimate theory, right? Azeroth is being used to power the giant engine that is known as the cycle of life and death. How is the dungeons in the new expansion for you guys? Chronicle, the cataclysmic birth of the cosmos, also flung shards of light throughout the reality. These shards suffuse the matter of myriad worlds with a spark of life. Is Beladar one of these, you think? Yasin, it is entirely possible that Baladar is one of those crystals, yes. But again, this all comes from Titans, right? So it is highly questionable. But yes, Baladar could absolutely be a shard. Actually, this was my first ever theory of what Baladar was that much like the Void flung their essence into the great beyond, so too did the light. Because both of them care about control, right? Jennifer, how you doing? Dungeons are fine, but silly tanks like to think they're in Dragonflight and can one-shot everything, then die. Oh, right. You're playing a healer, right? Media desk channel. Okay, hold up. Let me quickly check that out. Inside media room, right? Lore media. I'm checking it out now. Fuck, you guys are so busy in the lore media channel, man. Wait, where did you post it? Because I'm on here and I'm not seeing it. It's under... Wait, did you do it in lore discussion or normal media and art? You might have done it in media and art. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, okay. You did it in media and art. I don't think the mods will ask you to move it to lore media, but, you know, if it's to do with World of Warcraft, posting it in lore media works better. Because then all of the lore Andes can have their fun and look at it. Like, the media and art thing is fucking wild, dude. There's like all sorts of random shit in media and art. But alright, so... I can see what you mean. I don't know if it's a conscious decision, though. But I see what you mean, John. I definitely see what you mean. But it may just be that that's where Sargeras got the inspiration from, right? You see, I think that's the flaw that both Sargeras and Zuval found. I think that's the flaw. That was the issue. Both of them recognized that this is a giant problem. And it is a problem that isn't gonna be solved as long as Azeroth remains imprisoned. Not a 101, but definitely it's close enough to understand the correlation. Oh yeah, DJ. No, 100%. But again, remember, if Sargeras is also a Titan like Amanthul, Aenar, and the others, then he would have also been born inside Zereth Ordis. And as a result of that, that would have been his first memories, would have been Zereth Ordis. So it is possible that he literally just based his ships on those pylons, because it's what he knows, right? He draws inspiration from what he knows. So I wouldn't be surprised by that. But all right, guys, since we have 15 minutes left of the podcast, final questions. Do any of you have any questions for me? Anything that you wanted to ask that has not been discussed tonight? From next week, we're going to go back to proper lore speculation during this time, where I will bring proper topics and conversations and stuff for you guys. Because, yeah, I want to finish the story before I start speculating. I've already started speculating, but I'm keeping all of my speculations at the moment a bit under wraps, because it's possible I make a theory now and then it's disproven literally 5 minutes later. So I don't want to do that. So yeah, but I do. We will be back to full-blown speculation during this time in next week. With Unfold Theories, can't wait. Oh yeah, it's going to be super fun. Are we certain the Titan Pantheon was all made in the Zereth Zones? Jennifer, certain enough. Because they don't want mortals to know about it. Right? So I'm halfway convinced that yes. But if it's a crystal for Azeroth memories, why is it a massive source of light users? Azeroth is not connected to the light, right? And it even gets used to raise Risen for the Arathi. Floris, it may not have always been a crystal for memories. It may have been utilized by the Titans. Right? So repurposed. Or it could just be that the memories of Azeroth emits light, energy. Because light's just energy, right? If you have enough of those memories and those memories of actual magical value, then it's possible, right? Ashley, how you doing? I haven't heard anybody mention this, but Xal'atath has what look like the magic wrappings or bandages the ethereal wear. Ashley, some people did talk to me about that. I'm not... I don't care really about the bindings. And the reason I don't care about the bindings is this isn't Azeroth's real body. So I'm not entirely convinced that Azeroth or that Xal'atath, why would she put those bindings on if she is an ethereal, but she doesn't need it? Because remember, the only reason the ethereals have those bindings is to stop their bodies from dissipating into the nether. Because they are pure arcane, their bodies will simply dissipate. She already has a body, so she doesn't need to bind herself. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I buy into it. I have a question about what... I have a question I have been wondering, but it's not the War Within related, really, kinda. It's fine. It's fine if you want to ask something else, Lundcroft. What are your thoughts of the Void Lord's name? Should have been Void God or something else? That sounds more Lovecraftian. No, because I don't necessarily... if you think about it, Blizzard has steered clear of like they don't overly use the idea of gods in World of Warcraft, right? Like some races have their gods, but they don't overtly use gods as a concept. It's more powerful beings that may be as gods. And I think this was just their choice was because really Lord and God is interchangeable, right? It's an interchangeable thought. So in this instance, I genuinely think they just sort of thought Old Lord would sound stupid. Void Lord sounds pretty cool. Void God sounds pretty cool. But Old Lord doesn't work. So Old God sounds cool. Void Lord sounds cool. That's what we'll go with. And you can't have Void Gods and Old Gods. That would be weird, right? Because who's now the gods and who are the followers? So that's really what I would say, probably the reasoning behind that one. Lucifer, how you doing, bro? Seeing how Azeroth is layered, I was thinking, what if the Old Gods aren't trying to get to the core, but more like trying to come on from below? What do you think? I would not be surprised by either, if I'm honest with you. We do seem to see the majority of their coalescence on the surface going in, but it is possible that their true forms are much deeper. That being said, though, according to all of the sources, they are dead. So we did deal with the true Old Gods, right? And now we have that Black Blood. I'll probably have a video about the Black Blood as well, because the Black Blood is super interesting. There's something very weird about the Black Blood. Lundgraf, you are more than welcome. Old Gods Power Rangers up into Mecha Robo Old God. Okay, I'll It's morphin time. And then you just have all of the Titans becoming one giant being and all of the Old Gods becoming one giant being and fighting on the surface of Azeroth. Why not? But did you guys see how fucking large Azeroth actually is? That's something that I feel a lot of people maybe didn't talk about. Just the sheer size of Azeroth. We know that Sargeras is very, very large, right? We know this. How do we know it? There's a picture of him in the Chronicles slicing a planet in half. And that planet is tiny considered to Sargeras. Yet Sargeras next to Azeroth? Azeroth is fucking humongous, bro. What do you think about there being an ocean under the world, aka in Hallowfall? It seems that Azeroth has levels and layers. Oh, Flores, don't even get me started. The amount of excitement I had when I came into Hallowfall and I saw this endless ocean in Hallowfall. Dude, do you have any idea how much story this opens up? Like, how much potential story this opens up? Because this means that Blizzard can literally dream up any creatures they want. And those creatures could just live under the false sky. Now, here's a thought. What kind of fucked creatures would you be able to make in lands of dark? In other words, lands that have never seen light. Dude, Blizzard could come up with some pretty dark, very, very dark stories. Have you done the fish quest yet? I have, William. That is a storyline waiting to happen. You know that's a storyline waiting to happen. The final words of the fish is, do not come because I would hate to see you die. Right? Paraphrasing, obviously. Basically saying, if you bring the light to us in the deep, we will kill you for it. Well, it ain't going to be nothing. Albert, no. The Old Gods are going to be a drop in the bucket, right? Here's a question. Is it just me, or is it really confusing that the Ascended Nerubians are attractive rather than tentacle monsters like with the other Old God corruption? I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that, actually. But it might... That is actually awkward, right? Because all other evidences we have of void corruption usually leads to things being pretty tentacly and weird. And yet, Xal'atath's corruption of the Nerubians makes them almost more ordered. Right? Like it makes them almost more efficient. Only 2 legs, 2 arms, well, not necessarily just 2 arms, but you get the point, right? It is actually pretty awkward because you wouldn't expect that. I wonder if it's an oversight because Blizzard just thought this looks cooler, or if that might be what the Curse of Flesh did. True, Epic Voodoo. Probably it's because of the black blood instead of direct void infusion. It could be. Or it could literally be that we do not understand what the void is. Because here's the thing. All of us on Azeroth, except for the orcs, but those from Outland and other places, but all of the actual races of Azeroth is as a result of the Curse of Flesh, and yet none of you have tentacles, despite what some people wished. I know there's some of you weirdos in chat that's going, man, if I had tentacles, I would never go on an adventure again. But you don't have tentacles. You look normal, right? Okay, so the main in the game have 1 tentacle, but that's not the same, right? So we may completely just misunderstand what the Curse of Flesh does. Jennifer, so here's the thing. The troll, we have potentially 3 races on Azeroth that we don't know the origins of. That's the troll, the Tauren, and the goblin. Those are the only 3 races that we don't know its origins. It could have been constructs. It could have been as a result of the Curse of Flesh, like with the Nerubians now. The Nerubians are not constructs. They're, I don't want to say flesh, but kind of fleshy, right? The curse from Xal'atath turns them into humanoid-esque creatures instead. It is possible that when the old gods bestowed their Curse of Flesh, it wasn't, as it were, a targeted attack, but rather more a random attack, right? So it was just sort of spread the curse as far and wide as you can and catch as many of these constructs as you can. And in the process, a cow, just a normal moo cow, drink the milk and eat the fucking meat cow, right? Got caught with this curse and then became a Tauren. And it could be that something else got caught in the flesh and became a troll. Because as far as trolls go, we don't know where they come from. We know where the elves come from. The elves are trolls that live close to the Well of Eternity and then morphed into elves eventually, right? But we don't know what the trolls' origins are. Their origins is incredibly muted. Now, I am well aware of this chick, and I realize that right now, at least for us, on Twitch, we are speculating, and if you want to be part of those speculations, links are in the description down below. At least they should be. But we are speculating that these are proto-trolls. That's at least our thoughts at the minute, is that these are proto-trolls. These are the trolls that would ultimately become trolls. Jennifer, that's one theory, right? Maybe goblins could literally have been Merlhawks. Murlocs that received the gift of flesh, and that gift of flesh morphed them into goblins, right? That's if that theory is correct. Don't for a second think that I'm thinking that is the fucking gospel. I'm not saying that's the gospel. I'm just saying that it could be one of the theories, right? It could be one of the theories. On the Haronier look goblin to me. Possible, but goblins evolved from Kasia Cola. Goblins didn't evolve from Kasia Cola or Kajamite, because the cola was just the thing that they started to make. It's the Kajamite that ultimately turned them into intelligent goblins. But they were already goblins. They were just not very intelligent. And then Kajamite shows up, and suddenly they have a rapid evolution into highly intelligent beings. So the Kajamite gave them intelligence. It's not what turned them into goblins. Then we have trolls with saber teeth, like dinosaurs and birds, and elves with cat teeth, bear teeth. Yeah, it's possible that the Curse of Flesh just took a bunch of different creatures on Azeroth and turned them into humanoids, right? Do the Haronier look like Nerubians to you with their hair and spikes? They look similar? They look closer to trolls. It's just caffeine then. Then where did goblins come from? Turmoil, as I already explained, could have been goblins come from Murlocs, could have been literally any other creature on Azeroth. Look at it this way. If Sargeras' sword brought more black blood, then it would obviously be Titan blood. It could literally just be... Well, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be Titan blood. Think very quickly. What is the last big thing we know Sargeras did with that sword? He killed the Titans, that's true. But the big thing he did was he cleaved an infected planet in half. Do you think it's possible that the blood of that Titan, as well as the blood of all of the old gods that existed on that planet, may have been absorbed into Gorshalak? Was it Gorabal? Is Gorshalak the original weapon? One of those three. It's either Teshalak, Gorshalak, or Gorabal. One of the three. I always fucking forget the exact swords. But it absorbed, right? And then that is now being, or that was infused into Azeroth. So it is possible that that is why the crystal became void infused. He's a horrible swordsman if he never cleans his blade. Unless he wants that, right? That would explain why the Baladar started going voidy. Landcraft, yes, that's at least on Twitch. That's been our theory. The discussions we had yesterday was very much in that line, that the Sword of Sargeras, after absorbing an immense amount of Old God mixed with Titan blood, led to this void event, because Sargeras basically supercharged the planet with an immense amount of Old God corruption. Ronan, it is possible, although if you think where goblins lived and where gnomes lived, it's very far away from each other, right? It's nowhere near each other. And goblins were pretty isolated for a very long time. Inoculated her, he vaccinated her for the coming war. I think that's exactly what we're going to find out. Sargeras did vaccinate Azeroth against the bullshit. Could have absorbed a lot of foul from all the demons he slew over the eons. All possible. Literally all of that is possible, yes. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 5 minutes past. I have to go. I have a dinner date that I need to get to. And no, not with a girl. With like actual people. Not saying girls aren't actual people, but in this case, it's men with penises. His wife is there, so technically there is a girl, but yeah. Didn't the boss in Uldir have something to do with the blood? Maybe Gahun was created from the fifth old god, hiding somewhere in the new zones. Hobo Apple, come round on Monday. No, Tuesday on Twitch. The schedule is on Twitch, so if you ever care, just go check on Twitch. You'll see exactly when I start streaming. Come around on Tuesday, and we can discuss this. My Twitch streams is a lot longer than this, because this is meant to be a podcast, meant to be easily accessible to people. If I do 6 hours of this, people are not going to watch that. But on Twitch, the other night we did almost 8 hours of lore discussions and chat. So you're more than welcome to come ask it over on Twitch. Thank you for sharing your weird mind with us all. Brian, it is my absolute pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to share my weird thoughts and mind with you guys. I'll come in strong with 2 big questions and 1 theory on Tuesday. All right, Z Vengeance. I really appreciate all of you. I'm on a date with a goal. Exactly, Brian. I really appreciate all of you for coming out, for hanging out with me, for spending your Friday with me. It has been my absolute pleasure, as always, to be the one to entertain you. Thanks for choosing me. Ladies and gentlemen, to all of you that gifted subs, to all of you that super chatted, and just to all of you for liking and for subscribing and for all the rest of it, I really appreciate you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And as always, be good to each other. Be kind to each other. And I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.